host, Michaela Chapman, in for Leadership News, where we tackle all things in leadership. Leadership News has decided to take a break from our regularly scheduled broadcast to highlight the evolution of leadership. We will be joined today by a select group of thought leaders from around the globe who have found signs of leadership in every aspect of our life. Leadership News will be right back, but first, a word from our sponsors, Fielder's Contingency Leadership Institute, where leaders find their style or else.
Are you struggling to find your leadership style? Are you tired of people calling you too rigid or too soft? I used to think leadership was about efficiency, but apparently being direct makes me too bossy. Thanks to Fielders, I now run my team with precision and authority. No more unnecessary small talk, just results.
I thought being a leader meant making sure everyone felt included, but no one takes me seriously. Now I balance relationships and results. Who knew teamwork could feel this good?
Still unsure? Scan the QR code and take our least preferred coworker LPC test today.
Since taking the LPC scale, I finally understand my leadership strengths.
If there's ever been a theory that has endured the test of time and the boundaries that have been pushed, it has to be the Path Goal leadership strategy. Now let's go live to Mackenzie, our leadership correspondent, who has more on how leadership adapts to different environments. Mackenzie?
That's right, Michaela. According to researchers Kerr and Jeremiah in 1978,
1978? Whoa, how time flies!
I know. Kerr and Jeremiah argued that specific characteristics of individuals, tasks, and organizations can reduce the need for or even negate the impact of leadership, and that some things can act as neutralizers or enhancers of leadership.
Mackenzie, it sounds like leadership doesn't have a direct or a straight path.
I'm glad you picked that up. There isn't one way to be a leader. However, some characteristics were highlighted by the path goal theory. For instance, that was the rise of the charismatic leader way back in 1976.
That was definitely before my time.
Very good point. Well, when Robert House decided to write his seminal work on path goal theory, he identified some clear points. Let's take a look. Path goal theory flowchart 1. Leader behaviors. Adjust based on the situation. Directive. Provides structure, guidance, and expectations. Supportive. Focuses on well-being and job satisfaction. Participative. Involves subordinates in decision-making. Achievement-oriented. Sets high goals and instills confidence. 2. Situational and subordinate factors. Task structure. Clear or ambiguous. Subordinate characteristics. Need for autonomy, ability level, motivation, work environment, stress level, team dynamics, role clarity, when matched properly, leads to 3. Outcomes. Increased motivation, higher satisfaction, better performance.
Thanks, Mackenzie, for that blast from the past. I actually can see there is a bit of a ladder of success. I guess that's why they call it a path. There is definitely a gradual release in responsibilities for the leader. This is a great way to train employees with the goal of increasing motivation, higher satisfaction, and better performance. Any final words, Mackenzie?
In all of my research, I like to keep these words as my own yellow brick road, and this quote seems particularly poignant for today's show. All theories, no matter how good at explaining a set of phenomena, are ultimately incorrect, and consequently will undergo modification over time.
Mackenzie, you never cease to amaze me. You have really brought back the idea that there's more than one way to be a leader. With that, Mackenzie, I will let you get back to the business of researching the nuances of leadership. We will return after these messages.
Are you invisible at work? Your interactions with upper management are perfunctory and obligatory. You're basically a stranger. You are yearning for more responsibility. Have you found yourself straddling the line between a leader and a follower at work? Right now, your goal is to break through the glass ceiling and create a partnership between you and your employer. At LMX, we help you develop the skills necessary to capitalize on the loyalty, support, and trust that goes beyond personal and professional expectations. For a small nominal fee, you can take our 11-point scale test today. Call 1-800-555-5555 and start your path to success today.
And we're back. In recent years, research has moved away from focusing on the leader as the pinnacle of all knowledge and has moved to incorporate group theories that focus on the moving parts of an organization. At some point, all members are capable of showing leadership based on their experience, personal investment, and opportunities for growth within an organization. One way leaders have been able to combat the image of the all-knowing leader has been through authentic leadership. Even though there is a debate on how to achieve true authenticity, this theory focuses on 4 key components: self-awareness, transparency, balance, and moral perspective. An authentic leader is guided by a strong moral compass and is willing to stand by his or her values even in the face of tough decisions. Authentic leaders have to have a certain element of courage. Latkin and Taylor, 2 researchers who have added a bit of drama to this topic, highlight the speech of Hamlet, presented by a dear friend of the show, Hans. Thanks, Hans. That's a bit unusual for a news program, but we strive to bring all elements of life to the forefront here on Leadership News. We need to switch gears to a more serious tone, to a more serious case of the transactional leader. Our guest insists on remaining anonymous, but wants to highlight some of the drawbacks he experienced as someone who focused on a more transactional leadership model. We will go to our guest in a secret location, address, name, unknown. We'll just call him for the purposes of this interview, David. David?
Thank you for having me, Michaela. I just wanted to give out a warning to your young leaders who may struggle to identify their style and think that it's best to lead with carrots and sticks. When I first became the manager of the team, I was only focused on our short-term goals. I just wanted to hit our mark and move on to the next task. I thought I was being very clear and no nonsense. I identified all the components and elements of the job. I made sure everyone knew who was in charge of which division. In order to maintain morale, I offered weekly incentives like a free parking spot for the employee that hit their goal or even gift cards. When the entire team hit their mark, I always made sure to offer them a cash bonus. I wanted them to know that the long hours were appreciated. Little did I know that people began to resent the cash and methods I chose to use to acknowledge my team. They kept taking the money. But people wanted something more. I know for me, the next project, I would definitely try a different approach to keep my team engaged and stretching our relationship beyond just a checklist.
Well, thank you, David. Your input has been invaluable. In these times when leadership requires more than a social media account and a billionaire-funded campaign, you have definitely pointed us in the right direction. As you've seen today, leadership is more than a title. It's about adapting, inspiring, and transforming. Next time on Leadership News, we uncover what happens when leadership goes wrong. Stay tuned for Crisis Leadership, learning from mistakes. Until then, stay informed, stay engaged, and keep leading.